All right, let's jump right into this explainer and talk about the wealth leak. We're going to uncover how everyday purchasing habits are basically acting as invisible leaks, just draining your potential wealth. It's actually kind of fascinating, right? The things we buy daily, monthly, or yearly, stuff that's often disguised as these undeniable signs of success, they're actually the very traps keeping us from leveling up to true financial independence. You know, most people believe that earning a huge salary automatically makes you rich. But the reality? Well, it's a completely different story. We tend to focus entirely on that incoming cash flow. We think, hey, if I just get that promotion or if I just land that higher paying gig, all my financial worries are just going to magically disappear. But here's the truth. Your income, it's literally just one small piece of the puzzle. Wealth is really about what you keep. The fundamental difference comes down to this single, absolutely crucial mindset shift. The poor buy things that lose value just to look rich today, while the wealthy, they buy things that make money so they can eventually have absolute freedom tomorrow. So if you really want to change your financial trajectory, we've got to stop spending our hard-earned cash on items that only benefit the person selling them to us. Okay, let's move into our first category, big-ticket financial traps. Consider this number for a second. The average person will proudly take out a 5 or even 6-year loan, paying $500 a month for a brand new car. They look at that monthly payment and think, yeah, I can comfortably afford that. But here is the harsh reality. That car literally depreciates the absolute second its tires leave the lot. It's a depreciating liability. You're losing money on the value of the asset while simultaneously paying a bank interest just for the privilege of holding on to it. Crazy, right? The rich completely understand this simple math. Instead of locking themselves into a massive monthly payment, they buy a reliable, used car in cash. Because think about it, that $500 a month, if you invested it over 10 years at a reasonable return, well, that turns into a massive amount of wealth. The wealthy choose the pure functionality of getting from point A to point B over the status symbol of a new ride. Because, let's face it, an ego boost doesn't pay compound interest. Avoiding locked-in commitments is absolutely critical here. When it comes to vacations, timeshares are your classic financial traps. They're sold to us as these amazing investments in family happiness, right? But they actually come with huge upfront costs, massive annual fees that just keep going up, and super rigid schedules. The wealthy approach this entirely differently. They keep their flexibility by simply booking hotels or rentals whenever they actually want to travel. Zero annual maintenance fees. And the best part, they leave their capital to grow completely undisturbed in their investment accounts. Next up, let's look at Section 2, the illusion of status. Think about a typical credit card balance for a minute. By using it for instant gratification and then carrying a balance from month to month, you are essentially paying a 20% rent on your past purchases. It's an astronomical cost. You're paying a premium on stuff you'd already consumed, and that interest slice, that is money you will never, ever get back. No way. The rich, on the other hand, practice extreme delayed gratification. They pay off those cards in full every single month without fail. They know that interest is a seriously powerful force, and it's a cost they should be on the collecting end of, not the paying end. Sure, they might use a credit card for convenience or, grabbing those reward points, but they treat it strictly as a temporary transaction tool. They save, they invest, and they only use the returns from those investments to buy the things they really want. We really have to dismantle this false logic around expensive designer clothes and luxury goods. People who struggle financially often fall into this trap of believing that wearing expensive labels is going to make them look successful, and that somehow this look will miraculously lead to real success. But the wealthy, they buy quality, functional clothing without that massive markup. They flat out refuse to pay a premium just to be a walking billboard for some luxury brand. The money they save by skipping the logo goes straight into investments to buy the actual freedom that those clothes are merely meant to symbolize. When we look at these dueling mindsets side by side, the contrast is just stark. Take credit cards. Struggling financially means paying rent on past purchases, while building wealth means earning interest. Or lottery tickets. The poor rely on a lucky break, which is essentially a tax on people who don't understand math, while the rich rely on discipline, strategy, and predictable assets. In entertainment, handing over $100 a month for cable to just consume content is swapped out for creating value, reading a business book, or building a side hustle. It's a total 180-degree shift in how time and money are deployed. Moving right along to our third section, the hidden convenience tax. Let's think about our upgraded daily conveniences for a second. Things like pre-cut vegetables, those little individual coffee pods, getting food delivered every single day, disposable paper towels, plastic throwaway razors. Now, these small expenses seem totally insignificant in the moment, right? I mean, it's just a few extra dollars. But man, they represent a massive hidden markup over the base cost of the actual product.
It really forces you to ask yourself, are you spending money to save a tiny bit of time today? Or do you spend a little time to save a whole lot of money to invest for tomorrow? The wealthy totally understand that being rich is about managing these small, everyday leaks. They buy items that last longer, things that can be reused. By focusing on value and efficiency in their everyday household spending, they save thousands of dollars a year. And that money, it goes straight into building a massive reservoir of wealth for the future.
And that brings us to our final section, buying freedom over obligations. A lot of times, the poor buy heavy status symbols that require constant, really expensive injections of cash. Think pools, boats, or unique pets. They buy them outright, completely taking on the burden of ongoing maintenance and insurance. The rich, however, they understand the true total cost of ownership. I mean, you know what they say, right? The two best days of owning a boat are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. So the rich prefer to just rent a boat for the weekend, have a blast, and then hand the keys right back, keeping their fixed costs at absolute zero. 50%. Just let that sink in. That is the sheer financial destruction hidden behind a tiny percentage fee. A seemingly small 1 or 2% fee can literally eat away half of your total wealth over a 30-year period. The rich steer clear of complex, high-fee financial products, trendy crypto coins, or those high-commission insurance policies. They value clarity over complexity every single time. They use low-cost index funds and make absolutely sure they are keeping as much of their own growth as physically possible. All of this brings us to what I consider the ultimate trap. Locking yourself into a lifestyle where you literally have to work a job you hate just to pay for gadgets you don't actually need. It creates this state of constant stress and total dependency on a paycheck. But the rich, they actively choose to live below their means. They value the ability to just walk away from any situation far more than they value having a bigger house or a newer car. Basically, they use their money to buy options, not chores and bills. So I want to leave you with this ultimate question to chew on. Are you spending your money to look successful today, or are you investing it to be truly free tomorrow? Because at the end of the day, building wealth isn't about what you show off to the world, it's about what you actually keep. So what's it going to be? Will you choose to just look rich, or will you choose the path to actual undeniable freedom?